Hello everybody, this is Base P86, and this is the concluding part to my video response series to Taylor X04's video, Apologist in Error, Ravi, Zavharias. Once again, as a reminder to everyone here on YouTube who have not seen parts 1, 2, and 3 of this series, please go back and watch those before continuing on with watching this video. Last time I responded to Taylor's reference to Christian philosophers like Immanuel Kant and John Locke, which he used to show how Christians apparently cannot agree on their own moral beliefs. Just because people disagree on what is objectively right or wrong does not make the moral law within Christianity fallacious or invalid as a whole. What makes you a Christian is not what denomination or what moral code within Christianity that you subscribe to. But if you admit that you are a sinner and accept that God exists and He revealed Himself in His Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. You also mentioned, Taylor, that the pericope adulterae is not part of the earliest Gospels of John. Yet I showed how even if that is true, that does not prove that the Bible promotes sexism. Having said this, let us move on to your next objection. You refer to 1 Timothy chapter 2, 14 and 15 as your support that men are not equal according to the Bible. Again, it brings about the same problem of context which Dr. Ravi Zavharias says is essential in understanding sacred texts from different religions. Chapter 2 is referencing how it was not the man that first sinned, but the woman. Before you stop the video and say, "See, the Bible is sexist," let me further explain. Remember that after the fall, all of mankind became sinful by nature. If Eve, being the woman, was the first to sin instead of Adam, then logically this would mean that Eve became the carrier of sin, thereby making her children sinful by nature. This logically makes sense, especially in terms of genetics, in which the mother is the carrier of the specific genes that her offspring subsequently inherit. Which means that the woman being the carrier of sin is analogous to a mother being the carrier of genetic traits. This would explain how all of mankind fell to sin, namely because Adam and Eve were the first people to exist at the time before the fall. Note, as a side note, the book of Genesis was written long before genetics was discovered. If I were you, Taylor, I would ask myself as to how those who were writing the Bible knew that the mother would be the carrier of sin before scientists discovered that the mother would be the carrier of physical genetic traits. Interesting point, and I think it is. However, notice that both Adam and Eve, and the serpent for that matter, were all given equal punishment, which means that God does not show favoritism. See Galatians chapter 2. This would mean that the woman was not solely responsible for sin, for all of people inheriting sin, because Adam also sinned too. Therefore, because both of them sinned, that would logically make sense that all of their offspring following thereafter would also be sinful by their nature. So that is why Adam and Eve would have received equal punishment. Therefore, 1 Timothy chapter 2 is not saying that women are less equal than men. It is simply describing the origin of sinful human nature. This shows that your claim, in which claiming that the narrative was pro-women by having women be the first to stumble on the tomb, is not enough to cancel out the other blatant examples of sexism in the Bible, is not a sufficient counter-argument. Now that we have tackled the issue of whether or not the Bible condones sexism, let me move on to your concluding remarks about Ravi Zavharias in general. You say that, quote, "In this video alone we see that he, Dr. Ravi Zavharias, has a poor understanding of philosophy, ethics, and atheism, and his reconciliation of the Bible with feminism is one of the weakest arguments of its kind. He is one of the many reasons that dogmas and religions continue to persist. He is an enabler of irrationality and an excuse maker for people who possess real potential to be dangerous when they can confuse their will and belief with some objective or absolute truth." Unquote. I would like to conclude here, Taylor, that what you have done in this video is that you have based your assumptions about Ravi's generalized position based on the context of only one of his talks, when clearly by admission of your own arguments, you have not gone to any other video clips in his talks in order to gather further understanding of his position as a whole. You simply made a generalized, unsupported assumption about his intentions and his intelligence based on what he said in one video, not in any other videos. Please see the video clips to which I referred earlier in this series. Ironically, in your video about how Christians should debate theists, you said that Christians should not build assumptions about atheists. Why should we ask questions about the positions of atheists instead of jumping to conclusions? So my question here, Taylor, with nothing but love and sincere respect for you as a fellow human being, how can you expect us, the Christians, to not make assumptions about your atheistic position when in this video you yourself made false assumptions about Ravi's claims, and when you clearly had the choice to research his claims more in depth and therefore save yourself the trouble of making this video? I do not mean to be rude or offensive, but what was your intention in making this video? Was it because you were angry with Christianity in general, or religion for that matter? You say that we must work to end irrational thinking. So why do something like this? Isn't this irrational and even dishonest? As a Christian, I love you as I do with my brothers, but I do not support this video that you have posted, and I don't think anyone here on YouTube should support it either. So in conclusion, we have seen that the majority of Taylor X04's video entitled Apologist in Error, Ravi Zacharias, is based on misunderstandings and even some dishonest representations of Ravi Zacharias' general position and the claims he has made. Ravi Zacharias is not an excuse maker and an ignorant philosopher or an enabler of irrationality as this video portrays. As a believer and follower of Jesus Christ, I pray that those of you who've watched this video in response to Taylor X04, this whole series, and even my channel for that matter, will take what I'm saying into account, and if you're an atheist, reconsider some of the objections you usually take against Christianity. This concludes my video response series to Taylor X04, and I do not mean to be hard or mean or cruel in any of the words that I use, Taylor, but this is not a fair representation of Ravi Zacharias, nor is it a fair representation of the Christian belief. So everyone who's watching this video, everyone on YouTube for that matter, you'll all be in my prayers, and I hope you all have a great day. So you all take care. Peace out. God bless you all.